everybody. So today I am headed out into the garden to harvest our tomatoes. We have a ton of ripe tomatoes on the vine, and I'm also going to be canning them. And I've got a bunch of jalapenos to can, and we'll have to check it out. But I may have some green beans as well to can, which if I do, I'm going to make some dilly beans with those. And I think that's it. The sunflowers are looking beautiful. They're like all out. Some of them are just about ready to be dried, but they look awesome. I've been busy all week, so I've had these tomatoes just staring at me, really wanting to pick them, but I've been so busy. So I really hate this trellis with the nets. It's just not stable enough. It's not strong enough to hold up my tomatoes, so a lot of them have fallen over when it rains and stuff, and then I can't get them to stand back up. So as soon as I get the chance, I'm going to go ahead and just buy a bunch of cattle panels. It'll be basically the same setup. I'm going to keep the posts probably right where they are, about 10 foot apart, and probably cut my panels to exactly the length. I'm going to buy probably the longer ones. And then the cut pieces I feel like I can use for other applications, for possibly other plants or whatever. So, yeah, this trellis will be a thing of the past after this season, and we'll do the cattle panels. And also the conduit at the top is just not strong enough to hold up the tomatoes. As you can see, they are just complete. They're barely able to withstand that. So anyways, I'm going to be picking these tomatoes. I'm going to make a video as well on how I can my tomato sauce, and I do tomato sauce and tomato juice at the same time, so it's like a 2-for-1, and I do it quite a bit differently than I've seen anybody else do it, so I want to share with you guys how I do that. But that'll be in a separate video, and today I just want to bring you guys along on all the things that I have going on. Got a lot of stuff going on out here, so let's go ahead and get started. I already actually started picking the jalapenos over here. I'm going to be canning the jalapenos first probably. And yeah, we'll just kind of look around and see what's going on the farm. So here is our sweet corn, and as you can see, it's turning brown. We already harvested that and canned that up. I think I got about 14, I can't remember exactly, so don't hold me to it, but I think it was either 12 or 14 pints that I canned. This is my first season growing sweet corn, and so I only did half a row, but I did them staggered, so it's like 2 rows, but only halfway down my 70-foot row. And yeah, I didn't actually count how many cobs that I got. I didn't really think to, but we ate 4 cobs, and then I have 5 cobs right now because I wanted to save them to eat just like on the cob. And the rest was canned, and there was, like I said, about 12 or 14 pints. So not bad, but I think next year I'll probably grow them again, and I'll grow like a whole row. Alright, I already started harvesting this morning. I took my dogs out, and I was waiting for them, so I went ahead and started picking these jalapenos. So I don't have enough pickled jalapenos yet, so we'll see how much I get this time, and if I have enough on the pantry shelf, then I'll go ahead and start letting these. I really wanted to let some of these ripen fully, so they turn red when they're fully ripe, if you didn't know that. And I really wanted to make some sauce and stuff with them this year, so hopefully I have enough. But first I have to get all of my pickled jalapenos. I didn't really prune my peppers very much this year. Last year I was a little more diligent about it. It's a nice one. And I would prune kind of from the bottom all the way up to this kind of first joint. They usually get like this kind of Y. And I would prune all the way up to that point last year, but this year I did it a little bit, but I didn't really prune much in the garden this year. I just kind of let everything do its own thing. Maybe, I couldn't say for sure at this point, because the peppers are just really starting to grow a lot, but I can't really say if it's made a difference or not. I don't know if you can get the sheer size of this sunflower. But that thing is huge. Our bucket is almost full. We've just got 3 plants left. So you can eat your peppers at any stage. Some of these you can see are starting to turn black, but they're mostly just in their green stage. You can eat them at any size, any color. Whoops. So I just kind of pick them at my discretion at what size. There's no specific size that I get. That one has kind of a funny little thing on the side. And these ones are a little bit curly at the end. I'm gonna leave that one. Alright, last plant. Ooh, wow, look at this one. It's pretty big. I always have lots of eyeballs on me when I'm in the garden. Alright, there we go. We'll put this over by the house and we'll start picking our tomatoes. This will probably yield, man, it's pretty heavy. This will yield at least, I'm gonna guess, 14 pint jars of pickled jalapenos. Don't hold me to it, but we'll see. Alright, so I've got 1 bucket that I brought with me and a few of these plastic trays. Because there's so many tomatoes, I probably should have got the wheelbarrow. If I can get these things apart. So what I'm going to do is just lay these, I got these big flat trays. I'm just going to lay them here at the end of my row. And then I'm going to take my itty bitty bucket. I don't really have any big like harvest baskets or anything like the like what you would use traditionally for produce. I just have a lot of small buckets that we use for like feeding the pigs and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go down the row and fill this bucket up, and then I'll come and dump it into these trays and just keep going and bringing them back. And then once I get them full, I'll probably recruit help to carry them inside. And one of these trays, just with 1 line in, will fill up my canner. So we'll see how many we get. Here's some of the, what are they? San Marzanos that I grew this year. These ones aren't 100% ripe. I'm going to let these finish ripening inside in the garage. These ones are the Bonnie's Best. Some of them are so close to being ripe. It's a big one. So don't worry about these ugly tops. When I core these, I just kind of take off this kind of ugly cracked part at the top, and they look gorgeous. Alright, our bucket's full, so we'll take this back down here and dump it in our tray. Alright, let's go get some more. Alright, here we we go, another full bucket. A very nice looking Amish paste. I've got a lot of Amish paste. They're probably my favorite, and they're always a really nice size. All right, bucket number 3. That one's full. Right, that should be enough to fill up my canner twice, once with sauce and once with juice. And I'm gonna, once I get to the end of this aisle, I'm gonna have to go around to the other side because I can't reach a lot of them from this side of the trellis. So we'll have to kind of pick twice. But, you know, this year, because of my trellis for one, and I did end up getting a few hornworms, and we started coming out at night with our kind of black light or whatever and picking them off. We probably found about 12 total over the course of our looking each night. And so our plants are looking kind of blah. As you can see, I got a lot of dead leaves here. Also, just like I said with the peppers, I stopped pruning like everything in the garden. I just been too busy. So normally where I would come out and pick off all the suckers, same thing with the cucumbers, which I forgot to mention. The cucumbers, you can see my trellis is gone. Cucumbers are gone. They finally died back, and what cucumbers I was getting, they were kind of starting to get deformed and not real pretty and slowing down. There wasn't very many blossoms on them anymore, so I went ahead and took those out of the garden. But anyways, so I normally would remove the suckers, and I stopped doing that. So the tomatoes are grown really out of hand, and the trellis doesn't have enough strength to hold them up. So they're kind of, a lot of them are laying on the ground, or at least part of them is, which isn't great. But man, I have a huge harvest though. They're just not very pretty. They look terrible. But that's okay. We will get this trellis taken care of for next year. Never again will I do the nets. The netting might be great if you just have a small handful of plants, but for the amount that I'm doing, and even the posts are 10 foot apart, but it's just not strong enough. And then at the end of the season, it's really hard to get the plants off of them without ripping your net. So, all right, there's another full bucket. What is this, number 4? All right, so at this end of the garden, I've got my Roma tomatoes. A lot of these have fallen off. Even some of them aren't even ready yet, but they've fallen off. They fall off a lot when it rains, and they're pretty delicate. So if, like, a few of these plants have tipped over off the trellis and they're laying on the ground, and if you try to pick up the plant, they tend to drop their tomatoes. So I'm just kind of letting them lay here. The ones that have fallen over, they're kind of just laying here. I've tried to pick them up and they don't stay. They just fall right back down. So that is part of my trellising nightmare, but that's okay. They ripen very easily in the garage. I just leave them on that tray, kind of all. I like the tray because then they're not all stacked on top of each other. They're all kind of laid out more, and they can ripen there. Like this one, it's already come off. The lighting is kind of bad, but so it's already fallen off, but you can see it's not quite 100% ripe. That's okay. It's going to ripen on its own in there. I've got 8 Roma plants here at the end, and I really like Romas. They're nice. We actually eat them like a slice, like you would eat a slicing tomato. I'll cut it up and put it in our different recipes like taco salad or whatever. We kind of like them. So that one's not connected either. A lot of these are really close, but not quite ripe. Alright, we almost filled our bucket with just Romas. Now we'll just come down this side and see what we have that we couldn't reach. Okay, very full bucket. Alright, we got about another half bucket here of Bonnie's Best. The Bonnie's Best have definitely been an array of sizes. So we have 2 trays here. We'll probably get a good, maybe if we're lucky, 14 quarts of sauce and likewise of juice. We'll see. Alright, but I'm just going to dump this bucket in here. Alright, there we go. Here's our bucket of jalapenos and 2 trays of tomatoes to can today. Right, so next I will check out the green beans. I think I might have enough to can some dilly beans, but we'll see. Alright, we almost filled up our bucket with green beans. The plants are kind of browning. The foliage is starting to brown. And the quality of the beans don't look as nice as they were. So I think that the season's about over for these green beans. I might leave them in a little bit longer, but I'm thinking I'm just gonna probably pull these and call it a season for them. Alright, I think I have probably a couple watermelon at least. That one might be ready. I have a hard time sometimes deciding if I should pull a watermelon or not, but there's a few. This one. This one isn't very big necessarily, but it's definitely the veining, the dark stripes have started to come out. It doesn't quite sound hollow like I would like it. And let's see, the bottom is pretty dark. I think I'm gonna hold off on this one. It's so tempting. This one is itty bitty, but the striping has really gotten dark. The underside is really white, and it sounds really high-pitched hollow. I don't know if you can hear that. This one might be ripe, it's just very tiny. We've got a few heads of broccoli starting, so I better keep my eye on these so I don't miss them. This one doesn't have a head yet, and neither does this one. These ones are long past, and I cannot keep up with pulling off the blooms. I try to pull these every day or break off a bunch of these and keep them down because I feed them to our chickens and pigs. They just love them. But I can't even keep up with it. They grow so fast. A lot of the garden has come and gone. Really, I don't need any more dill, so I could go ahead and get rid of the dill. I've got another cabbage over here that looks like it might be ready. A big old spider web on it, but nice and firm. That looks like a nice cabbage. I could definitely probably harvest that. Alright, then we've got our peppers. These are the green peppers. Doing really well. Again, I have not been pruning these, but I already have a bucket full in the house, so I don't know if I'm going to pick any of these today, unless a plant is just overwhelmed. I may just let some of these go and fully ripen, because we've got a lot of very beautiful green peppers. I did freeze a bunch last year, and I still have them, a lot of them in the freezer. Alright, so I may or may not harvest some of those today. I have some in the house already that I am going to use for canning my spaghetti sauce. So, I think that's about it for our harvest today. The pigs and the chickens are doing well. In fact, we have a lot more chickens than we need. We have about, I don't even know. In the spring, we got, I think, 21 chickens, baby chicks that we raised, which were supposed to be silver-laced Wyandottes and the blue-laced golden Wyandottes. The blue-laced gold Wyandottes were not what they had been promised to be, and we got somehow a golden lace Wyandotte mixed in as well. So we love the golden lace. We named her Goldie, and we're going to keep her for sure. The blue lace golden Wyandottes, they're just gray, pure gray. They have no color, no lacing, and they have black legs, which they are not supposed to have black legs. They are supposed to have yellow legs. And they all have combs, and they should not. They should have rose combs like a Wyandotte has. So they are like, who even knows, a very poor breeding, I think, from those, I think we got them at Family Farm and Home chicks. So that is the state of that. We're looking to butcher probably 10 to 12 chickens. We didn't do meat birds this year. We still have meat birds, whole birds in the freezer, probably at least 10 to 12, at least. We got a lot in the freezer. We just got 2 new freezers, so that's great. We're going to be butchering a cow this fall, late summer, early fall, probably, as soon as we are capable. We're going to be butchering this cow on the farm. We think that's the most humane and proper way to do it. We are hunters, so we have processed all of our meat in the past, all of our deer, elk, you name it. We have butchered it ourselves, so we figure there's no difference really in doing a cow. And if we can do an elk, we can do a cow right here on our farm. We're just getting prepared and getting our facility kind of ready. We've been buying some equipment and stuff to make sure we get that done. So yeah, but I wanted to show you out here. I told you before that we wanted to plant some trees out in our chicken and pig pastures, as well as in our cow pasture. We have not planted any in the cow pasture yet, except for over here, the weeping willow that I told you about, which is alive and doing pretty good. However, we did plant some trees here in the chicken pasture and in our pig pasture. We got these for free. Somebody wanted us to do some work for them, and they had some mulberry trees that they needed cut down. So my husband cut down these mulberry trees for them, and there was a bunch of saplings around them as well that they wanted gone. So instead of just pulling those out and tossing them, we went ahead and dug them up and kept several of them for ourselves to plant here on the property. So I can't remember if these are black mulberry or white mulberry. I forgot. It's been a while. But it was not ideal. It was scorching hot summertime when we dug these up, and we knew that they may not survive, and if they do, we knew that they were going to drop all their leaves. They were going to wilt, drop all their leaves, and then we would see maybe next year, hopefully they would survive get some roots, and next year in the spring we would see leaf growth and stuff next year. But we were surprised. That is exactly what happened. They did turn black, wilt, die, all the leaves fell off, and they were just sticks sitting here. And we thought, well, hopefully in the spring, fingers crossed, that they come back. Well, they've already come back. It hasn't been long, and they've already come back. So here is one of the mulberries in the chicken pasture. As you can see, I mean, it's got these bare branches that the leaves fell off. But they do look like they might have buds there, so next year we could leaf those back out. But as you can see, we've already got green growth here. So we've got one here in the chicken pasture, and also one here, which is much smaller. The ones here in the chicken pasture we didn't fence off because we ran out of fencing. But they seem to not be really bothered, so that's good. Normally we do have our chickens and pigs separated. We have this run here for the chickens, and we have our rabbit cages here, and then over here is our two pig pastures. So this is a pig pasture, chicken pasture, and pig pasture up there on the hill. You can see their pig house up there. So we've got a pool here for the pigs. It definitely needs some fresh water. But so this is the other pig pasture, and we put one mulberry here with the pigs, and we did put a little fencing and stuff around this one. So as you can see, this one is coming back really well. The pigs have been messing with my fencing, but this one is coming back really well. So fingers crossed, we successfully transplanted 5 mulberry trees. Here is this other one doing fantastic. So hopefully what that means is it won't be too long and we'll be canning up some mulberry jam. Very excited about it. So we may or may not be adding still to this, likely a little bit more. We will probably want more fruit trees in here, but we'll see how it goes. Come fall, I would really like to transplant some of our sugar maple saplings from our forest area here. We've got tons of maple saplings in the forest behind our house. So I'm thinking of digging several of those and planting them sporadically around the pasture, and then fencing them off real good so that our bull doesn't rub on them. And hopefully one day they will make really great shade trees out there for the cows in the pasture, because our pastures have no trees. There is one bush out in our very last pasture. There's an autumn olive bush, and they will all try to get under that little thing, and it's really not big enough for all of them. But they're out there now laying down. It's a nice cloudy day, so they are having a great time out there eating grass. My husband is out there mowing our last cutting of hay for the year. So that's super exciting. It looks really nice. Hopefully, we're making bets on how many bales we're gonna get for this. But yeah, that's really exciting. I'm super happy to have this cut. We've got at least 4 or 5 day window with no expected rain, so that's cool. I am gonna go and eat. I just fed my husband on the tractor, and so brought him his dinner. So I am gonna go and eat, and then I am going to work on putting up the potatoes. They've been curing in the barn for far too long, and I am going to go ahead and rub all the dirt off of those, put them in the crates, and bring them down to our pantry. And we will hopefully be able to go ahead and start braiding onions today as well. Alright, I've got a couple of these old wooden crates, and I'm just going to bring these out to the barn and see how many of our potato harvest, how many of our potatoes we can fit in here. Okay, so I've had these potatoes drying out here in the barn for quite a bit longer than they really needed to be, so I'm kind of anxious to get them put downstairs. I made a little kind of drying rack temporarily out of some scrap wood that I had laying around and some scrap fencing, and it's pretty much exactly what I actually want, but with 2x4s. I want to actually do it with 2x4s so it's sturdy, and eventually, like I said, I want to have it kind of on a pulley system so I can hang it as high or as low as I want to. But we will see. This has worked for me this year, and it's kind of nice to have around, but it's just not sturdy enough. It's pretty flimsy, but I'm going to go ahead and just rub the dirt off of the potatoes. I'm not going to like wash them or anything, and so I'm just going to wipe the dirt off the best I can and then put them in the crates. I've got 2 crates. One's kind of a dark colored and the other one's kind of a light color, so I'll just stick with that theme and put the russets in the dark one and the Yukon Golds in the light colored one, and then we'll put them downstairs in the pantry. And I don't know if these will all fit in the crate or not, but I am planning on canning some potatoes. I'm not exactly sure how many. I still have some on the shelf from last year, but I do want to have a good amount canned as well. I might just wait until I feel like they're, you know, starting to sprout and they need to be taken care of, and then maybe I'll can some, but we'll see. Maybe I'll can some right away. It just depends how much time I end up having. But so I'm gonna go ahead and just rub these. They're nice and dry, and this one's pretty clean, so I'm just gonna start putting these in the bucket or the crate. So here's my kind of temporary holding facility for these. I've just got it propped up on a bunch of my maple syrup buckets, and I've got potatoes on this half. I've got a good majority of the onions over here on this half, and down below I've got more potatoes on cardboard. These are the smaller ones that would fall through because this is the 4x4 welded wire fence. But we're just going to put all these in here. Some of them have a little bit of dirt yet. All right, really, you don't even have to go to the extra step of getting the dirt off of these, but since I'm bringing them through the house, I just don't want to get dirt or sand or anything all over the place on my way down to the pantry. So it's about 7 o'clock right now, I think, and my husband is just about done mowing hay. In fact, it's starting to sound quiet out there, so he might be done cutting our final field full of hay. We'll see how many bales we get here in a few days. I love having the barn full of hay. Some really nice potatoes. Alright you guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed hanging out today, and we will see you guys next time.